Ignazio Boschetto, you probably see him today as confident, smiling, powerful on stage, but there was one night that almost erased everything. You know about Il Volo, and I want you to listen closely because this is not a polished headline moment. This is the quiet breaking point when Ignazio Boschetto seriously thought about walking away from Il Volo forever. And as I'm telling you this, I'm speaking directly to you. Because if you've ever felt like quitting something you love, then this story is also about you. Ignazio Boschetto was still young, but already carrying a weight that most people twice his age would struggle to survive. Fame came fast, applause came, loud expectations came even louder. And while the world saw success, what you didn't see was exhaustion, pressure, and the silent fear of disappointing everyone around him that night wasn't dramatic on the surface. There was no stage collapse, no screaming fans, no public meltdown. It was quiet, and that's what made it dangerous. Because the most dangerous quitting moments don't come with noise. They come when you're alone with your thoughts. Ignazio Boschetto had just finished another demanding stretch of rehearsals, recordings, interviews, flights, and performances. And his body was tired, but his mind was worse. He felt trapped inside an image he didn't fully recognize anymore. People expected perfection, every note, every appearance, every smile. And when you're that young, you don't yet know how to separate who you are from what the world wants you to be. So that night, Ignazio Boschetto sat alone, questioning everything: the music, the pressure, the responsibility, even the bond with Gianluca and Piero. Not because there was hatred, but because pressure distorts love into obligation. And when passion starts feeling like a cage, your instinct is to run. He asked himself a terrifying question. What if I just stop? What if I walk away before this consumes me completely? And that thought didn't disappear quickly. It stayed, it echoed. It grew louder with every sacrifice he remembered. What life was like before Il Volo, before schedules ruled his days, before millions watched his every move. He missed simplicity, anonymity, normalcy, and the freedom to make mistakes without headlines. And for the first time, Ignazio Boschetto imagined a future without Il Volo, not as a threat, but as relief. And that's what scared him the most, because when relief starts looking like escape, you're standing at a crossroads that can change everything. He thought about the fans without faces, just expectations. He thought about the contracts, the commitments, the pressure to always be grateful, even when you're drowning. And in that moment, gratitude felt like guilt. Because how do you admit you're struggling when everyone thinks you're living a dream? And I'm telling you this because this is where many people silently break. You feel ungrateful for wanting peace. You feel weak for needing space. And Ignazio Boschetto felt that too. He wondered if walking away would make him a failure, or if staying would erase who he really was inside. And the truth is, no one prepares you for this side of success. No one tells you that loving something doesn't mean it won't hurt you. Sometimes deeply that night, Ignazio Boschetto didn't sleep. He replayed conversations, imagined confrontations, imagined disappointment, imagined freedom. He thought about calling it quits quietly, stepping back, letting the world move on without him. And maybe you've been there too, lying awake, imagining a life where the pressure finally stops. But then something shifted, not dramatically, not magically, just honestly, he realized that walking away wouldn't solve the pain. It would just move it somewhere else, because the music wasn't the enemy. The lack of balance was, the silence was the inability to say, I'm not okay. And Ignazio Boschetto understood that if he left without confronting that truth, he would carry the same weight into whatever came next. And so instead of disappearing, he chose something harder. He chose to stay and face the discomfort, to talk to himself honestly, to lean on Gianluca and Piero, not as bandmates, but as brothers. To accept that strength doesn't mean endless endurance. It means knowing when to breathe, when to pause, when to protect your heart. And this is the part people don't talk about. Il Volo didn't survive because there were no breaking points. It survived because there were. And Ignazio Boschetto, standing at the edge of quitting, didn't step away. He stepped inward. He stayed not because it was easy, but because he still believed in the music. When it was stripped of expectation, he stayed because he realized that leaving wouldn't make him free, but understanding himself would. And if you're listening to this right now, feeling close to giving up on something you once loved, remember this: almost quitting doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. And sometimes staying isn't about success. It's about choosing yourself while you continue the journey. Ignazio Boschetto. After that night, the world didn't suddenly slow down and the pressure didn't magically disappear. And this is where the story gets even closer to the heart, because choosing to stay is only the first step. Living with that choice is the real battle. And I want you to stay with me here, because this part is about what happens after you decide not to quit. Ignazio Boschetto woke up the next morning, carrying the same responsibilities but with a different awareness. He knew now that pretending to be endlessly strong was no longer an option. Every rehearsal, every flight, every performance felt heavier because he was more honest with himself, and honesty can feel painful before it feels freeing. He began noticing how easily he disappeared into expectations, how often he said yes when his body and mind were begging for rest. And this time, instead of ignoring it, he listened even when it felt uncomfortable, even when it meant admitting vulnerability to people who were used to seeing him as unbreakable. Ignazio Boschetto started pulling inward, asking himself, who am I without the applause? Who am I when the stage lights turn off? And that question haunted him, because fame doesn't leave space for quiet self-discovery, but he fought for it anyway. Sometimes in silence, sometimes through frustration, sometimes through doubt. And there were moments when the thought of leaving Il Volo returned not as loudly as before, but as a whisper reminding him that walking away was still an option, and that temptation didn't mean failure. It meant the wound hadn't fully healed yet. And that's important for you to hear, because growth is not linear, healing is not instant, and staying doesn't mean you stop struggling. It means you stop running. Ignazio Boschetto leaned more deeply into the brotherhood with Gianluca and Piero, not as performers, but as humans who were also carrying invisible weight. Conversations became more real, less filtered, less about schedules and more about survival. And that closeness became an anchor, because isolation is what almost pushed him away in the first place, and connection is what pulled him back. And on stage, something subtle began to change. The performances weren't just about perfection anymore. They carried emotion, restraint, honesty. You could feel it in his voice even if you didn't know why. Because when an artist sings from truth, the audience feels it without explanation. Ignazio Boschetto wasn't singing to prove anything anymore. He was singing to stay grounded, to remind himself why he began. And that shift saved him in ways applause never could. But here's the close-up moment, the part people rarely talk about. Ignazio Boschetto accepted that loving music didn't mean sacrificing himself completely. He learned that stepping back mentally doesn't mean stepping away publicly, that protecting your heart is not betrayal, it's survival. And if you're watching this right now, feeling like you're barely holding on, I want you to hear this clearly. The bravest thing you can do is stay and change how you stay. Not everyone gets a dramatic exit. Sometimes the real transformation happens quietly internally, where no one claps but everything changes. And Ignazio Boschetto is still here. Not because the journey got easier, but because he got more honest with himself. And if stories like this matter to you, if you want more deep, real close-up moments about the lives behind the fame, then subscribe to my YouTube channel for more content, because there are many more untold chapters waiting for you.